Good afternoon, Mr. Speaker. I rise this afternoon, but I'll open with a famous quote by Ronald Reagan. There you go again. And here we go again, yet another omnibus bill. Looking at here, the Streichel Amendment, 93 pages by my count, of gun restriction. Trying to impose more gun restrictions on law-abiding citizens, trying to create yet another class of criminals who are no more than law-abiding citizens, folks that are God-fearing citizens of Connecticut, God-fearing Americans that believe in the Second Amendment, believe in protecting their homes, protecting their families, believe in hunting, and they want to be able to practice their Second Amendment rights. So let's talk about some of the things that are in this bill that I'm most concerned of, that some of the people this is going to affect. Many people in my district that are hunters, that go to the shooting range, that again, those law-abiding, God-fearing Americans, they're going to be prohibited under this legislation from purchasing more than 3 firearms in a 30-day period. So let's take people who are on fixed incomes, people who live week by week, paycheck to paycheck, and maybe can't afford a certain firearm or set of firearms. All of a sudden, there's a going out of business sale, 50, 70% off from a particular gun shop, a particular business that may sell firearms. And they have an opportunity to finally purchase a set of firearms that they've been wanting to purchase that's on their wish list. They're gonna be precluded from purchasing more than 3. Maybe they want to upgrade the type of firearms they have. They're gonna be precluded under this. Somebody who's very much interested in history, somebody who's an avid firearm collector of the different wars that America has been in. Say somebody's a collector of firearms from World War I, World War II, Vietnam, the Korean conflict. And there's they say there's a sale where there's a lot of there's several handguns that are being sold that were used on the European front during World War II that were part of the either the Allied or Axis powers. They want to purchase those. They want to put those in their historical collection. They're going to be precluded from doing that under this new law. The idea that we cannot purchase body armor without a firearm permit. Honestly, I don't see the correlation. If somebody, for whatever reason, isn't comfortable carrying a firearm, doesn't want to get a firearm permit, but may want to wear a Kevlar vest, may want to have personal protective body armor on them. There may be a single mother who was in a very violent relationship, who's in fear of her life, who may want to wear that going to work. Maybe a single woman coming home from work late at night that's coming back from a very violent area of a very violent neighborhood. I think should be able to purchase that and wear that, and I don't think they should have to go through a gun permit in order to do that. Our blacksmiths and our gunsmiths, some of those, they create very beautiful firearms with a lot of precision, a lot of character, a lot of quality to it. It's given this like scary term, as my colleague from Stonington said, ghost guns. We're banning ghost guns. What we're really banning is our gunsmiths and our blacksmiths who put in a lot of work into these individualized and customized firearms. It may take a great deal of work in order to do that. They're going to be precluded. They're going to quote, sell these without a serial, going through the whole bureaucracy of a serialized firearm. Those are some of the restrictions on the folks that this legislation is going to impose restrictions on. Let's talk about what's not in here, what we haven't done, what we failed to do. Number one, our prosecutors, depending on the crime, 70 to 90% of the gun violations, the firearm violations, laws that have been broken in our state, those alleged violations, 70 to 90% are not prosecuted, are either not are nollied or are not taken up and are not prosecuted in the courts. But yet, what's our response? Let's pile it higher and deeper with another 90-something page bill in front of us here. See something, say something. We hear that term. If you think somebody's susceptible to violence, you see something wrong, you see something that's not quite right, see something, say something. Totally agree with that. What do you say? Who do you say it to? A lot of people still have questions about that. Recognizing the individual who could be violent, the individual who could have a propensity for violence or creating harm to somebody. Regardless of the mechanism they use, there's many different mechanisms that can be available to a person if they want to inflict harm on a person or several persons or large groups of people at once. We need to recognize who those individuals are. If you see one of those individuals, see something, say something, what's the mechanism to do that? How do you do that? Shouldn't that be taught in our schools? Shouldn't that be taught in our workplaces? In places where there's a lot of foot traffic, where there's a lot of activity going on. That's what we need. We need to educate our administrators, educate our teachers, train people in the workplace. When you see something, say something. The proper way to report when you see something that may not be right. Identifying some of the early warning signs of somebody that may have a propensity to violence and want to commit harm to somebody. What are those early warning signs? How do we determine when somebody's dangerous or not dangerous? How do we figure that all out? That's what the conversations we need to be having. That's what needs to be coming before this chamber. Not continuing to try to create a whole nother class of criminals who simply believe in the Second Amendment, who are law-abiding citizens, have never committed a crime in their life. My colleague from New Canaan had it right. When faith has gone out, violence has come in. When we've taken God out of the equation, violence has increased. I wholeheartedly agree with that. The idea of thou shalt not kill, love thy neighbor. Maybe that's what we need to start getting back to. So our school resource officers, having that discussion about how about having school resource officers in our school to protect our children, mechanisms on how to do that, the cost of that, the funding mechanisms, the qualifications of our SROs. How about we start having that conversation, not continuing to pile higher and deeper firearm regulations on law-abiding citizens. So, Mr. Speaker, for these reasons, I rise today in opposition to the bill before us. I intend on voting against this. Let's start focusing on the individuals. Let's start focusing on identifying early warning signs, not continuing to pass restrictive gun measures on our law-abiding citizens. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.